Okay, well, we are going to discuss that is tidal power plant. So yesterday thermal power plant. So we discussed in the is that is your geothermal, and the next renewable is tidal. And the first class itself we were discussing about wind power. So these all are called renewable energy resources. With help of that we can produce the power. So today we are going to discuss about the tidal energy. So with help of the tidal energy, we can produce the power. So how we are producing the power and what are the components involved in the tidal power plant, how the construction and what are the advantages, disadvantages, everything we are going to discuss in the tidal power plant. So first we'll see the today agenda of the session. So first, before going to the tidal power plant, first we will discuss about the introduction part. What is meant by tide, types of tide, and what is meant by bondage, what are the types of bondage, and main parts of tidal power plant, and what are the advantages we are going to discuss. Then we are going to discuss about the disadvantages, major tidal plants in the world, and future trends. That is also we are going to discuss. So that is the today agenda of the session. Herbert, kindly mute.
Sir, screen blacker.
Thinkola, blood pressure increase ஆகும். Heat exhaustion அப்படின்னா tiredness, extreme tiredness because of the exposure to heat. Final வர்றது வந்து heat stroke. Heat stroke அப்படின்னா paralysis.
Okay. Students, kindly mute your mic. Screen black ஆயிருக்கா? Just a minute, I will check it.
சார் இப்போ கரெக்டா இருக்கு சார். இப்போ
Okay.
தெரியுது சார்.
Right. So first we'll see the introduction. So tidal power. What is meant by tidal power? You know very well. So tidal power, also called tidal energy, is in the form of hydropower. Okay. So normally tidal is comes from your sea with the help of hydro. Okay, that is water. Okay, sea water. Tide is comes. Okay. So tidal power energy is in the form of hydropower, which convert the energy of tide into useful form of power, mainly into electricity. So how the tide is formed? Anybody knows how the tide is formed in the sea? Anybody knows what is the concept behind the tides? Anyone? எப்படிப்பா tide வந்து உருவாகுது? Anyone? Students, is it audible? Why the tide waves is caused? Anyone? Nobody? தெரியுமா தெரியாதப்ப எதனாலப்பா அலை வந்து உருவாகுது கடல்ல? What is the reason? Students, is it audible? Say yes or no.
சார் காற்று அதிகமாக வீசுறது அது போல சில ரீசன்ஸ் உள்ள கடல் சீற்றம் அது
உள்ள
போல
இருக்க
ஒரு
ஸ்பீஷீஸ்
ரீசன்
மூவ் ஆகுறதுனாலங்க சார்.
உள்ள இருக்க ஸ்பீசிஸ் மூவ் ஆகுறதுனாலயா? Okay, you can see in this slide. Okay, tides are the waves caused due to the gravitational pull of the moon and sun. So normally உங்களுக்கு தெரியும். Okay, மூன் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா நம்மளோட எர்த்தோட ஒரு ஆர்பிட்ல வந்து மூன் ரொட்டேட் ஆயிட்டு இருக்கு. ஓகே, ஸோ இந்த மூனோட ரொட்டேஷனும் அந்த சன் பொறுத்து நம்மளோட எர்த் சர்ஃபேஸோட கிராவிடேஷனல் வந்து மாறும். ஓகே, ஸோ அந்த கிராவிடேஷனல் புல் வந்து எதை பேஸ் பண்ணியிருக்குன்னா டிபெண்டிங் அப்பான் த மூன் அண்ட் சன். ஓகே, ஸோ பிகாஸ் மூன் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அதோட ஆர்பிட்ல வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நம்மளுக்கு வந்து எர்த்தை சுற்றி ரிவால்வ் ஆகுது. அட் த சேம் டைம் சன்னு கூட நம்ம என்ன ஆகுது, அது வேரியேஷன் வரும்போது என்ன ஆகும், lot of changes will be happening on the earth. அதில் ஒரு எஃபெக்ட் தான் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா கிராவிடேஷனல் புல். அதாவது கிராவிடேஷனல் புல்லுங்கிறதுனால அந்த ஈர்ப்பு விசை வந்து மாறுபடும் போது என்ன ஆகுதுன்னு பார்த்தா டியூ டு த ரொட்டேஷன். ஓகே, வாட் வில் ஹேப்பன், த சி, இந்த எர்த்தில் இருக்கிற சீல இருக்க அந்த டைட்ஸ் வந்து ஃபார்ம் ஆகுது. ஸோ டியூ டு த கிராவிடேஷன். ஓகே, அந்த வேவ்ஸ் வந்து காஸ் ஆகுது. ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் த ரீசன். ஓகே, ஸோ அதனால தான் உங்களுக்கு வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஓஷன்ல வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அந்த வேவ்ஸ், அதாவது அந்த காத்தினோட இது வந்து மாறுபடும். ஓகே, மூவ்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் ஏர் வந்து என்ன ஆகும், சீல அப்பர் லேயர்ல வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ப்ரெஷர் டிஃபரன்ஸ் கிரியேட் பண்ணி ஓகே இட் வில் ஃபார்ம் அ வேவ். ஓகே, ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் த scientific reason behind on the tides or waves caused in the sea. Okay, ஸோ எதனால வேவ்ஸ் உருவாகுது அப்படிங்கிறது இதுதான் பேசிக் கான்செப்ட்ஸ். ஓகே, ocean side tides are periodically rise and fall of ocean water level occurs twice in each lunar day. ஸோ நார்மலி பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு டைம் வந்து பகலாக இருக்குது, நம்மளுக்கு இன்னொரு டைம் நைட்டாக இருக்கிறதுனால ஸோ ஓஷன் வாட்டர் லெவல் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பீரியாடிக்காக நம்மளுக்கு வேரியேஷன் வந்துகிட்டே இருக்கும். ஓகேவா, ஸோ வந்து அது பிகாஸ் ஆஃப் ரொட்டேஷன் ஆஃப் மூன் வந்து நம்மளுக்கு என்ன ஆகுது, அந்த வேரியேஷன் இருக்குது. அதனால தான் பகல் நைட் வரும்போது அந்த டைட் வேவ்ஸும் ஆல்சோ வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா டிஃப்ரெண்ட்டாக இருக்கும். ஓகே, ஸோ டியூரிங் ஒன் லூனார் டே ஓஷன் லெவல் ரைஸ் ட்வைஸ் அண்ட் ஃபால் ட்வைஸ். ஸோ ஒவ்வொரு லூனார் டேங்கிறது வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒன் நைட்டும் ஒரு பகலும் சேர்ந்தது தான் ஒரு லூனார் டேன்னு சொல்கிறோம். அந்த டைம் ஓகே ஓஷன் வாட்டர் லெவல் 2 முறை என்ன ஆகுதுன்னா இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகும், 2 முறை ஃபால் டவுன் ஆகும். ஸோ டியூ டு தட் என் எஃபெக்ட்னால வாட் வில் ஹேப்பன், ஸோ நம்மளுக்கு வந்து அந்த டைட் வேவ்ஸ் வந்து ஃபார்ம் ஆகுது. ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் த ரீசன் பிஹைண்ட் ஆன் டைட் வேவ்ஸ் ஓகே ப்ரொடியூஸ்ட் இன் தி சி. ஓகே, ஸோ டைம் இன்டர்வல் பிட்வீன் கன்சிக்யூட்டிவ் லோ டைட் அண்ட் ஹை டைட். ஸோ நார்மலாக ஒரு டைடு இப்படி வந்து இந்த வேரியேஷன் ஆஃப் கிராவிடேஷன் புல்னால டைட்ஸ் ஃபார்ம் ஆகுது. ஸோ இதனால 2 டிஃப்ரெண்ட் டைப் ஆஃப் டைட் இஸ் ப்ரொடியூஸ். ஒன் இஸ் கால் லோ டைட், செகண்ட் ஒன் இஸ் ஹை டைட். அதாவது நான் அந்த வேவ் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒன்று ஹையராக இருக்கும், இன்னொன்று லோயராக இருக்கும். ஓகேவா, ஸோ வாட் இஸ் த டிஃப்ரென்ஸ் டைம் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா the time interval between the consecutive low tide and high tide is 6.207 hours. Okay, ஒரு 6 to 6.2 ஹவர்ஸ்க்கு ஒருக்க என்ன ஆகுதுன்னா டைட் வேவ்ஸ்ல வந்து மாற்றம் வரும். அதாவது ஒன்று ஹெவியா இருக்கும், ஒன்று வந்து லோவா இருக்கும். ஓகே, ஸோ அப்படி வந்து சேஞ்சஸ் வரும் in between this time. And tide range is different between the consecutive high tide and low tide. ஸோ கன்சிக்யூட்டிவா வரக்கூடிய ஒவ்வொரு டைட்லையும் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு டைட் மேக்ஸிமம் இருக்கும், ஒன்று வந்து கம்மியாக இருக்கும், அதாவது ஹையாக இருக்கும், ஒன்று லோவாக இருக்கும். இப்படி தான் டைட்ஸ் வந்து வரும். அட் பர்டிகுலர் இன்டர்வல் தட் இஸ் 6.207 ஹவர்ஸில் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு டைல் வெரி ஹையாக இருக்கும், ஒரு டைல் வெரி லோவாக இருக்கும். ஓகே, ஸோ அது வந்து பிகாஸ் ஆஃப் திஸ் கிராவிடேஷனல் புல் டிஃபரன்ஸ். ஓகே, ரைட். During high tide, the water flow into the dam, and during the low tide, the water flow out, which is result in moving the turbine. So normally we used a turbine. Okay, so wherever you want to implement the tidal power plant means we have to implement a turbine in the sea source area. Sea source area நம்ம என்ன பண்ணணும், we have to construct a barrage ஒரு செட்டப் வந்து கிரியேட் பண்ணி அந்த இடத்துல we have to implement the turbine. Okay, so what is barrage, what is how it is constructed, everything we are going to discuss in the next slides. Okay, right now you consider the turbine should be located in the barrage area. So due to high tide, okay, the water moves to the turbine area, it will rotate the turbine blade again. But at the low tide time, again water come out from this area, turbine. So both tide, okay, the turbine start rotate. So due to the rotation of turbine, okay, the turbine shaft is connected with generator, so power is produced. So this is the basic concept behind the tidal power plant. Although not a widely used, tidal power has potential for future electricity generation. Tides are more predictable than wind energy and solar energy. So normally if you predict solar or wind, so wind வந்து எவ்வளவு velocity இருக்கு, solar எவ்வளவு இன்னைக்கு வந்து ஹீட் இருக்க போது அப்படின்னு எவ்வளவு ப்ரிடிக்ட் பண்றோமோ இந்த சேம் வே டைட் ஆல்சோ மோர் ப்ரிடிக்டபிள். நம்மளால என்ன பண்ண முடியும்னா we can able to predict, கணிக்க முடியும். ஓகே, when the high tide is comes, when low tide is comes, what is the tide speed என்ன இருக்கும். So everything we can predict. So by this way we can implement the power plant. So ஒரு predict பண்ண முடிஞ்சதுன்னா டெஃபினட்டா நம்மளால எனக்கு ஒன்று implement tidal power plant we can implement and we can get more power. So that is one of the advantages of tide. Okay, so these are the concept in the introduction part. Okay, tides are the periodic rise and fall of the sea, okay, in the surface, occurring once or twice a day, driven by the gravitational attraction of the sun and the moon by the earth rotation. So எதனால நம்ம ஏற்கனவே சொன்னோம், gravitational attraction of sun and the moon by earth rotation. So நம்மளுக்கு moon வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா நம்ம rotate ஆயிட்டு இருக்கு, at the same time earth also revolving and also rotated. Okay, so இதனால நம்மளுக்கு டெவலப் ஆகக்கூடிய இந்த கிராவிடேஷன் அட்ராக்ஷனால தான் ஓகே the sea level இருக்கிற surface of water வந்து periodic rise and fall நடக்குது. That is we can call it as a tide அப்படின்னு சொல்றோம். Okay, so this is a concept. Okay, so tides, so we know there are two different types of tide. One is high tide, second is low tide. Okay, so this tidal electricity power plant, okay, the electricity generation works at the tides come in and again when it's go. So when the tide is comes inward to a turbine area, okay, that time, okay, your turbine will start rotating again. The same water going out from this turbine. So first, if the tide is comes, okay, when it is a high tide or maybe a low tide, okay, when the tide hit the turbine bed, the turbine start rotating. So the water is first comes from your sea area to the turbine area. After that, again the water leaves from your turbine area to again sea. Okay, so that time also your turbine is rotated. So both time your turbine is rotated. When the water coming in and when the water going in, or we can say when the tide is coming in, that time also your turbine and generator rotated. When the sea water is goes out or tide is going out, okay, that time also your turbine is rotated. So both case, if turbine is rotated means generators are also rotated. Okay, so this effect, this both direction. Okay, so when the tide comes in, that time also your turbine is rotated. Okay, in one direction, and the tide goes out time is turbine is also rotated in another direction. So both rotation is possible in turbine. Okay, so at both rotation the power will be okay developed. So that kind of arrangement is okay, we are introduced in the tidal power plant. So at both, so one time maybe rotated in clockwise, another time might be rotated in anti-clockwise. So because of the tide coming in and tide coming out, okay, sorry, going out. Okay, so due to the effect, okay, the power will be generated. So this is the concept we have to keep in mind. So that tide comes to the turbine area. That area we can call it as okay estuary. Estuary means okay, one end of the turbine, okay, tide is coming in, that is called sea area. So after that, okay, due to the tide, the water is goes beyond the turbine. Okay, that area we can call it as estuary. Okay, so estuary is nothing but the behind area of your turbine, and the before area of your turbine normally sea water is there. Okay, so this is the two areas you have to keep it in mind. One is sea area and the second one is estuary. Okay, so before turbine area is okay, normally sea water is there. After the turbine area, okay, we have constructed estuary. Okay, so likewise our barrage should be formed. Okay, in the barrage area only we have constructed a turbine and generator. Okay, we have installed the turbine and generator. Okay, with help of that turbine rotation we can develop the electric energy. Okay, so this is about high tide and low tide. When the tide is okay, sea level of water is higher than high tide, the sea level of water is maybe low level rise means that is called low tide. So that is basic things. Okay, next we are going to discuss about the main parts of the tidal power plant. A tidal power plant consists of three main parts. Okay, the first being of the barrage. So the first important component of tidal power plant is barrage. So what is the purpose of barrage? Mean barrage is used to hold the water, okay, back during the high tide. So when high tide is formed during the mostly in the night time, okay, mostly in the high tide may be formed. Sometime in the evenings, in the daytime, okay, high tide is may be formed, okay. So due to that, okay, a water is back to the estuary area. So the purpose of barrage is to hold the water in the estuary area. Okay, so that is the purpose of your barrage. Okay, then the second part is the sluice gate. Okay, so what is the purpose of sluice gate is okay, sluice gate that let the water through the third part. Okay, so what is the third part? Third part is nothing but your turbine and generator. Okay, so the third important component is turbine and generator, resulting the electricity generator. So what I'm trying to say, barrage is the area for colder water, and the second important component is sluice gates that used to allow the water from sea to estuary area. That is the function of sluice gate. In that area, we are constructed turbine and generator. So these are the three main parts in the tidal power plant. So here you can see this is the barrage. So barrage purpose I told, barrage is used to store the water. A tidal barrage is a dam-like structure used to capture the energy from masses of water moving in and out from the bay or river due to tidal force. So due to the tidal force, water should be stored. Okay, that's why this barrage. Okay, it is a dam-like structure used to capture the energy. So further, if you want to, okay, produce the tide means we have to capture, okay, water and store the water. Then only again the tide will again produce. Okay, so that like that's purpose barrage is constructed. Okay, so due to this barrage, okay, the water is moving, okay, here and there, and automatically a tide wave is produced. Okay, so with help of that we can create the energy. That energy can be used for produce the power. Okay, so this barrage. Next is sluice gate. Sluice gates are left open during high tide and closed during low tide. So what is the purpose of sluice gate? Is one type of a gate to align such a. Okay, so what is the purpose? When a high tide is comes, that time the sluice gate is okay, open. When low tide is comes, okay, the sluice gate is closed. So that is the purpose. Why it is construct like that means, okay, to create water level difference, creating potential difference, that power of the turbine water is released. So the purpose is, though, if you want to create a water level difference, then only if you create a water level difference means then only the waves, tide waves is comes. Okay, then only we can generate the power. So for that purpose, we are first close and sorry, we are first open for high tide and closed for low tide. Okay, by this way we can create a potential difference, so that will lead to generate power. Okay, so this is the principle behind on the sluice gate. And tidal steam generator. So steam generator is nothing but a wind turbine, similar like picture, except there below of water surface instead of above or land. The turbine and generator converts the movement of water coming from change into tide. So the due to the movement of water, what will happen? The potential energy of sea water is now changed into kinetic energy. So that energy can be used for generator power or electricity. So initially, if stored water is in the form of potential energy, when the water is moving from one point to another point with the help of tide wave, okay, with the gravitational force, your potential energy is changed into kinetic energy, and further the kinetic energy is converted into electric energy. So water is 830 times denser than air, and therefore can generate electricity at lower speed and than wind turbine. So normally, if you see in the power generation in wind turbine, okay, only the wind velocity is more, then only we can produce power. Because the wind velocity when it is high mean the air density should be very low. That time the wind velocity is high. So in wind power plant, okay, only air when the air velocity or speed is high, that time we can generate more power. But compared to this, okay, at lower speed also, lower denser of your water, okay, compare with the air, okay, the speed of wave is high, so automatically we can generate the power. So what I am trying to say is, in wind turbine normally, okay, power generation is only air, with help of air, so that the air dense is okay more, so we can generate only lesser amount of energy, electricity energy. But compare with this, okay, air compare with water, okay, the 830 times, okay, is lesser, water density is lesser, so automatically the speed generation of wave is high, so automatically what will happen, we can generate more power. So that is the concept behind on the tide power plant. Okay, next, different type of basins. So this scheme has been one barrage and one water storage. So what there are two type of basin. Basin is nothing but it's a barrage. Okay, so barrage and the construction of turbine, everything we can call as basin. So this based upon the construction, we are classified into two type of basin. One is called single basin, second one is called double basin. What is meant by single basin mean? Okay, when the seawater coming to the turbine area and passes to the one end, okay, so only we are providing the storage on the one side. That means after the turbine area, we have provided the storage of water. Okay, that is called a single basin. So one end is open water and that is sea area, and another one is enclosed space. So the enclosed space, okay, we have stored the water, that is called basin. Okay, so if it is we provide only one basin, means only one side we are provided the basin, is that is called single basin. If we provide two side, okay, so for example in this slide we can see, okay, a sea is open area, okay, and the both, that is left and right, we have a basin, so that is called two double basin. In single basin, the sea is okay in the forward position and the reverse position we are construct the basin. So likewise the structure is based upon the storage of water, we are divided into two types. One is called single basin, second one is called double basin. In double basin scheme, there are two basins. That is, I told basin A, basin B. On the land side, with powerhouse located at the interconnecting waterway between the two basins. So, what is the purpose of double basin is, okay, we can generate power from basin A, basin B, okay, with help of the sea water moving, okay, and also, okay, in both basins we have provided a power plant or turbine in the center parts. So what I am trying to say is, with a single turbine, we can generate the power, okay, from basin A water and basin B, okay, area, and also C area. Okay, likewise we can generate the power. But whereas in the single basin, okay, only one area is open, that is seawater area, and another one is area, sorry, is covered with water. Okay, so water is coming from sea area to closed basin and enclosed basin to water area. Likewise, only, okay, water is goes from one side to another side. So this is the difference between single basin and double basin. In single basin, okay, only little amount of power will be generated, but in double basin, okay, both sides we can generate power. Okay, so commonly we can install the turbine in the center part of your basin. Okay, next we are going to discuss about the advantages of tidal energy. So it is an inexhaustible source of energy. So it is not inexhaustible. Whenever the earth is formed, that time itself the tidal energy is okay, comes. So it is inexhaustible. So that is the main advantage of tidal energy. Tidal energy is environment friendly, it is eco-friendly, and does not produce a greenhouse. So it does not impact the society. So it does not produce any greenhouse gases. And 71% of Earth's surface is covered by water. So the main advantage is plenty of water we have. Only 30 percentage is land area and 70 percentage is in the earth is covered by water. So we can generate more power on larger scale. That is one main advantage of tidal energy. Efficiency of tidal power is far greater as compared to coal, solar, and wind energy. So because the reason is density of water is 830 times lesser compared to air. So we can produce more power. Okay, around 80 percentage of power or efficiency we can get to the tidal energy. And tidal energy does not require any kind of fuel to run. So the main advantage is, okay, it doesn't require any uh, uh, energy requirement. Okay, with the help of this potential energy of stored in the form of water that moving from one point to another point. Okay, it's automatically moved because of earth gravitational difference, earth gravitational pull due to the rotation of moon, uh, uh, and also earth revolving. So automatically the water is moving from one area to another area. So tide will form. So no energy does not require or any kind of fuel to run this power plant. So that is the another advantage. Next one, the life of the tidal energy plant is very long. Only the problem is, okay, if it is any natural calamities is happen, that time only the power plant is affected. Otherwise, like a cyclone or heavy storm, okay, that area maybe that time also maybe we have to take care of the plant. Okay, otherwise and the life of the plant is very high. So this is the main advantage. And next to the large density of water, almost 1,000 times greater. That is, I told, air result very large amount of energy to get out from the tidal currents. Even the speed is low. That is, I told. So even at low speed time also we can produce the power because the density of water is very less. Uh, that is the main advantages. Sorry, 1,000 times greater than the air. Okay, that is the main advantage. And disadvantage, if you see, one of the main disadvantages construction cost of tidal power plant is initially it's very high. So the cost of construction tidal power plant is high. There are very few tidal locations for construction power plant, and they too are localized in coastal region only. So where we are going to locate the power plant, almost all the tidal power plant is located in the coastal region only. Okay, so only few ideal locations for construct the power plant. Okay, so that is intensity of sea waves in unpredictable. That can be a damage of the power plant. Sometimes that is I told no due to natural calamities like due to the weather, cyclone or heavy storm condition, maybe your plant may be affected. That is another one disadvantage. Then actual generation for a short period of time, the tides only happen twice a day, so electricity can be produced only for that time. So when the tide uh, is become very high tide and when become very slow tide, that time only we can produce the power. So twicely it is happened. Okay, the high tide is happened at twice in a day daily. So that time we can generate power. So that is one of the disadvantages. Okay, that time we can produce more power. So and the remaining time means we can produce only lesser amount of electricity generated. Okay, so that is one of the disadvantages. Usually, the places where tidal energy is produced as far away from the places where it is consumed, this transmission expensive and difficult. So normally the places of tidal energy, okay, is in the coastal area. So we have to construct the transmission line. Okay, So we have to transmit the power from this coastal area to urban or township area. I mean, so we have to provide a transmission line. Okay, it is heavy expense because that it is too far. The location of your tidal power plant is in the coastal area. I mean, so we have to transmit the power now. So the construction of transmission line is required more money or more, it's more difficult. That's why this kind of power plant have okay we have to invest more money for transmission uh, transmission of power or we can provide a transmission line. This is the major tidal power plant around the world. Okay, Shuwa Lake Tidal Power Station located in the South Korea. That is the first tidal power plant located in the South Korea. The capacity of the power plant is 254 megawatt, and some other power plant also. Okay, now it is operating. Okay, so Rancy Tidal Power Station in France, Canada, China, Russia, likewise, there are so many power plants. So what is the future trend? In a society with the increase of energy need, it becomes more and more important to have an alternative source of power. To keep with this for ever-growing energy demand, the capacity of tidal energy exceeds the coal and oil is renewable. So every day we are requiring more power, okay, because our energy requirement is more. So we are depending upon coal or oil means, okay. So that is impact to the society because a lot of pollution is come out from this kind of power plant. One of the future trend, we can say, the future trend is we have to increase the tidal energy. And Department of Energy has shown great in regarding tidal power plant as the perfect energy source for the future. That's why government is now okay understand the importance of tidal energy. They are introducing more number of tidal power plant. Okay, so tidal power plant is one of the future uh, energy sources for the coming years. So that's all from now. If you have any questions, now you can ask. So today we discuss about what is mean by tidal energy, what are the different types of tides, what is mean by barrage, what are the important components in tidal power plant, basin, barrage, sluice gate, okay, all those things we were discussed. Then two type of basins, single basin, and we discussed finally the working principle of tidal power plant. And last we discussed about advantages, disadvantages of tidal power plant and the future trends in tidal power plant. Okay, so tidal energy is in the form of hydropower. So which convert the energy, okay, of tide into useful form of power. So how tide is produced? Due to the gravitational attraction of sun and the moon and the earth rotation, the tide is okay formed in the sea surface. Okay. If you have any questions, now you can ask. Suraj, you have any doubt?
No doubt,
No,
sir.
sir.
No doubt, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, just a minute.
Hello, sir.
Okay, see a video.
Okay, sir.
Is a form of hydropower that converts the energy from the natural rise and fall of the tides into electricity. Tides are caused by the combined effects of gravitational forces exerted by the moon, the sun, and the rotation of the earth. Tidal plants can only be installed along coastlines. Coastlines often experience 2 high tides and 2 low tides on a daily basis. The difference in water levels must be at least 5 meters high to produce electricity. Tidal electricity can be created from several technologies, the main ones being tidal barrages, tidal fences, and tidal turbines. Tidal barrages are the most efficient tidal energy sources. A tidal barrage is a dam that utilizes the potential energy generated by the change in height between high and low tides. This energy turns a turbine or compresses air, which in turn creates electricity. Tidal fences are turbines that operate like giant turnstiles, whereas tidal turbines are similar to wind turbines, only underwater. In both cases, electricity is generated when the mechanical energy of tidal currents turns turbines connected to a generator. The generator produces electricity. Ocean currents generate relatively more energy than air currents because ocean water is 832 times more dense than air and therefore applies greater force on the turbines. Tidal power is easy to install and renewable, having no direct greenhouse gas emissions and a low environmental impact. Because the ocean's tidal patterns are well understood, tidal energy is a very predictable energy source, making it highly attractive for electrical grid management. This sets it apart from other renewables that can be more unpredictable. However, adoption of tidal technologies has been slow, and so far the amount of power generated using tidal power plants is very small. This is due largely to the very specific site requirements necessary to produce tidal electricity. Additionally, tide cycles do not always match the daily consumption patterns of electricity and therefore do not provide sufficient capacity to satisfy demand. That's tidal power.
Students, if you have any doubt now, you can ask. Any doubt? So now you can leave. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No doubts. Thank you, sir.